In 1899, a geologist in Russia opened a crate of rock from the Ural Mountains. Inside was this, a spiral of teeth coiling in on itself like a saw blade. It belonged to an animal that died 270 million years ago. And for the next century, nobody could agree where on that animal it went. This is Helicoprion. Or rather, this is our best guess at Helicoprion. And the guess is only 12 years old. Everything before it was wrong. The problem starts with what Helicoprion was made of. It was not a shark, although almost everyone called it one. Its closest living relatives are ratfish, pale, big-eyed things that drift along deep ocean floors. And like a ratfish, its skeleton was cartilage. Cartilage does not fossilize, it rots. So out of an animal 25 feet long, exactly one part survived. The teeth, and not scattered the way shark teeth are usually found. Fused, locked together into a single spiral that grew as the animal grew. Oldest teeth at the center, newest at the outside. A complete record of every tooth it ever had, coiled into one object, and no clue whatsoever where that object sat. The man who named it had the spiral and nothing else, so he reasoned from its shape. It curls outward. Things that curl outward tend to sit at the front, so he put it on the snout. In his reconstruction, the coil unrolls off the tip of the nose, like a trunk made of teeth. It is a beautiful drawing. It is also, mechanically, absurd. An animal swimming nose first with an exposed circular saw would destroy it on the first rock it met. He seems to have known. He revised it twice and never settled. After that, the guesses multiplied. Some put the spiral on the dorsal fin, rising off the animal's back like a fern. Some put it on the tail. Some folded it deep inside the throat and argued it crushed rather than cut. Others hung it below the lower jaw and let it stick out into open water, a permanent visible buzzsaw. That last one escaped into the world. It is on book covers. It is in museums. It is what most people still picture. And it is wrong, too. Every one of these reconstructions shared the same flaw. They were arguments about a shape, made by people who only had the shape. There was no head to put it in. The head had rotted away long before anyone was there to look. Then someone in Idaho looked at a specimen nobody had bothered with. It had been sitting in a museum drawer since the 1950s. A spiral in a block of gray stone, half buried, not especially pretty. In 2013, a team put the whole block through a medical CT scanner. They were not expecting much. Rock and teeth read very differently to X-rays, and usually that is all you get. But this block had something else inside it. Faint, ghost gray, barely denser than the stone around it. Cartilage. Not the cartilage itself, that was long gone. The impression it left as it decayed held in the rock like a mold. For the first time in 114 years, somebody could see the jaw, and the spiral was inside it. Not on the nose, not on the fin, not hanging out into the water. The spiral was the lower jaw, the entire thing. Helicoprion had no rows of lower teeth because it had no lower jaw the way we mean it. It had one continuous coil of blades rooted in cartilage sitting back in the throat. And when it closed its mouth, that coil rotated. Think of a pair of scissors that only closes one way. Prey comes in, soft-bodied most likely, squid, and the coiled ammonites that filled these seas. The upper jaw holds, the spiral swings up and back. The teeth do not crush, they slice, and they draw the food further in at the same time. It is closer to a bandsaw than to a bite, and every tooth the animal had ever grown was still in there, still attached, riding the curve. If this is your kind of thing, subscribe. There is a new expedition every week. Helicoprion lasted roughly 20 million years, and it was not rare. Spirals have turned up in Russia, in Idaho, in Wyoming, in Western Australia, in Japan, in Mexico. For a long stretch of time, this animal was everywhere. Then came the end of the Permian. Around 252 million years ago, something changed the chemistry of the entire ocean. The best evidence points to enormous volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. The water warmed, the oxygen fell, the sea turned acidic. Roughly 9 out of every 10 marine species died. It is the worst thing that has ever happened to life on this planet. Helicoprion did not come out the other side. Neither did the ammonite-rich seas it fed in. Those took millions of years to rebuild. And the entire lineage it belonged to went with it. Nothing has ever built a jaw like that again. We still do not have a complete Helicoprion. We never will. There is no skeleton to find. What we have is a spiral of teeth, and one unremarkable block of Idaho rock that happened to record the shape of a jaw as it vanished. That was enough to overturn a century of drawings. There is one more thing worth saying about teeth. Helicoprion had too many of them, in the strangest arrangement anyone has ever found. But go back another 150 million years, into a sea older than this one, and you find something with no teeth at all. Just bone. Self-sharpening shearing bone growing straight out of the skull, and a bite that may have been the strongest of any fish that has ever lived.